Godzilla man, burning up these titans alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till he finds one true fight. I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm Godzilla man. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Farr Show, where I am Damien Farr, and tonight we are talking about Rocketman and Godzilla. So, let's start off by showing the cards, because I got two of them, because we're talking about two separate movies, so I thought it'd be best. So, I did my new logo, which is coming in September. This is going to be the new logo. Maybe not all this color, but new logo. So I thought I'd put it on a card. I probably should have did the card like this instead of this, but that's okay. That's okay. And then the Godzilla one, which looks terrible, but I love it anyway. So, let's start talking about Rocketman, where I feel this is a good movie. If you like Elton John, you need to see this movie. Like, that's all there is to say. You need to see this movie. I'd give it an FAR. Taron Egerton is Elton John. That's all there is to say. He is Elton John. Like, you almost can't tell. Other than the singing, he pretty much is Elton John. There's a little bit in the face that's a little different, but that's to be expected. I mean, he's an actor. He's not actually Elton John. So let's give the basic plot, which I think, big points are Reggie Dwight takes an interest in piano. That's Elton John's original name. He changed his name to Elton John in the end. Then he meets Bernie Tampleton, and they write Your Song, which is my favorite Elton John song, hands down, is that song. So I was excited to see how they wrote it. It was a little weird. They had kind of like a little romance at the beginning, and then he's like, I'm not okay with. He's like, Benny's like, I like you, I love you, Elton John, or Elton like a brother, but I not into dudes, which is okay. Then pretty much he meets John Reed, who becomes his manager and lover, which I thought was ironic because John Reed was also, I guess, Queen's manager after reading a quick thing. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Thinking about that, there was a Freddie Mercury movie, well, a Queen movie just recently, and now there's a John movie. Kind of ironic in a way. Then he tells his mom he's gay. She knows. She tells him he'll forever be alone, which kind of is a terrible thing to say as a mother. Like, come on. That's a terrible thing to say. So, after that, he sees John Reed cheating on him with a pool boy. And, well, needless to say, he gets addicted to drugs. He attempts suicide. And then has a heart attack later on, too. And then performs soon after, both of the times. He had these terrible issues. Like, when he tried to commit suicide in the movie, he actually dove into a pool, tried to commit suicide, and then performed at Dodger Stadium. I don't know exactly if it was right after, like, that night, or a day or two after, but still, that's insane to me that he did that. Then he leaves a performance to go into rehab. And after that, he finally repairs his friendship with Bernie, which I thought was great. I like this movie. I would say, like I said, it's an FAR. There is some comedy points here and there, but overall, the movie is more of a serious tone movie. It is a biopic, I mean. So, if you haven't seen Rocketman, I'd say it's definitely worth a watch. Go see Rocketman. And then let's talk about Godzilla, where this is an FAR. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Good movie. It's part of the Monsterverse, the Legendaries Monsterverse, where we're going to rank them right after I talk about it here. So this one's got a lot more plot points because it's not taking as much, I don't know, it's a weird story. Let's just be honest here. So Mothra is born and goes into a cocoon under a waterfall. If you don't know who Mothra is, the big moth. It's just a giant moth. That's really all there is. Then the main characters end up following Godzilla to the Antarctica. The reasoning behind that is one of the main characters' ex-wife, and child is abducted by Jonah, who is a extremist in a way. He plans to release Monster Zero or King Ghidorah. So there's some comedy points. There's one character with the mug. That's all I'm gonna say really. Who was amazing. His comedy was great. I liked him the most of all the characters. Him or the guy from Silicon Valley was also pretty sweet. So he plans to release King Ghidorah. So Godzilla and King Ghidorah fight. Then he wakes up Rodan in Mexico and he pretty much destroys a whole city that's near it. And then the oxygen destroyer, which the U.S. military launches, it's supposed to remove oxygen from the air within a 2-mile radius, if I remember correctly. It's supposed to kill Ghidorah and Godzilla. It ends up killing Godzilla, or so we think. It doesn't actually kill Godzilla. It's his movie, and he's got another movie coming up soon with Godzilla versus Kong. So Ghidorah, we then figure out, is an alien. They figure out that he's not from Earth, because he regenerates his head, one of his heads. So they just figure out he's not from Earth, which is really cool. I've never really watched any of the other Godzilla movies here, so being honest, I don't know if that's his original origin story. So if it isn't, tell me in the comments below what it is. I'm actually interested enough to see it. So then Mothra hatches from the cocoon, and they use Mothra to actually find Godzilla, because they can't really track him anymore. So they track Mothra, who then they figure out where Godzilla is, pretty much, in a way, the area at least. And they find him in an underwater city where he's recuperating from the fight that he just had. So what it is he's got this little, like, I don't know what you want to call it. I'd say Atlantis is where he is. And then it's got a little pyramid where he lays, and then he just takes the, like, lava from the Earth's core and it, I guess, powers him up. It's kind of a cool concept. I really like it, being honest and all. And then they're like, well, it could take years. So they use a nuke to revive him because he's made of nuclear radiation, which is kind of cool. So Sirawada, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, manually detonates the nuke and sacrifices himself to save Godzilla and to save the Earth. I thought that was a pretty cool concept. With the Godzilla, I like that, you know, they show that he's been fighting King Ghidorah for years upon years. When I say years, thousands and thousands of years. I thought that was kind of a cool concept, you know, that they made it where there was some backstory to them and why they fight. That Godzilla tries to be the king of the monsters and King Ghidorah tries to be the king of the monsters also. So then going back a little bit to the human plot, which I don't really care for, being honest. That's one of the worst parts. The story itself is ridiculous. So the mother of the child, you know, is talking to the extremists, and you know, they're like, well, we can get them all to come to one area. Let's broadcast at Fenway Park, you know, a signal. So the daughter overhears it and goes and does that. So all the Titans stop what they're doing, which is destroying Earth. Kinda. They're saving it in a way, because as you could tell from the movie, they were actually saving it. So they go there. Mothra and Rodan fight. Godzilla battles Ghidorah, and then Mothra kills Rodan, and then she is killed by Ghidorah, and then kind of powers up, I would say, Godzilla. Like, her life force is transferred into Godzilla in a way. I thought it was kind of cool. Then Godzilla kills Ghidorah. So it's a pretty cool idea. I like this movie a lot, being honest. Like I said, there's some good actors in here. Not much to do, though, being completely honest. Like, they could have done a lot more, but they weren't given much. It's kind of like Kong Skull Island in a way. So the post-credits sets up future films. They show that, at least with Ghidorah, you know, one of his heads is found, and they might be making Mecha Ghidorah, I would assume. I'm really hoping that when they do Godzilla vs. Kong, I hope they kill Godzilla and make Mecha Godzilla for some reason. I really like the idea that the bones of the original Godzilla are used in Mecha Godzilla. They did that in the original Toho series at one point. So let's start ranking the MonsterVerse films. So let's do an honorable mention, even though it's not part of the MonsterVerse. Godzilla 1998. That's an F. That movie is not great, being honest. But for some reason, it's got a little bit of charm. Matthew Broderick, just hot off the Inspector Gadget movies. Then Godzilla 2014 is an FA. Then I'd say Godzilla King of the Monsters is an FAR. And then finally, Kong Skull Island. This movie, every time I see it, it grows on me a little more. The only thing that sucks is the plot. The actors are great in their roles that they're doing here. The style of the movie is amazing too. Like the shooting, the color grading, everything is great in my mind. Kong is amazing. Then I'd give that an FARR. So, what did you think about Rocketman and Godzilla King of the Monsters. Tell me in the comments below. What's your favorite of the MonsterVerse movies also? Tell me in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and have a far off night.